Department of Agriculture is tapping into a contingency fund, this all to pay partial SNAP benefits. But the $4.6 billion available is roughly only half of what it would need to pay out the benefits for the whole month of November. Joining me now to discuss is our panel, Neves, Democratic Strategist, and Bobby Eberle, Republican Strategist and host of the 13-Minute News Hour. It's great to have you both, as always. So the Department of Agriculture tapping into this contingency fund. There's about, as we said, $4.6 billion available, only enough to cover half of November's payments. Full coverage would require $9 billion. Bobby, District Judge John McConnell says the government should find those additional funds necessary to fully fund November SNAP benefits. Where could the administration realistically find those additional funds? And should the onus be on the government or on the Trump administration or on Congress?
Well, I think the first step is, as you said, going into this emergency fund that gets you halfway there. And the thing is, with these negotiations, we're thinking, you mentioned we're in day 34. So we're thinking about this in days. We're thinking about this in weeks until that next major paychecks need to be cut. And so I think the Trump administration is, one, looking for other avenues of revenue, but also trying to make the case to the American people that this is exactly what the Democrats have wanted every time there was a shutdown before, is just a clean continuing resolution to fund the government at its normal levels. That's what the Republicans have offered from the very beginning. And the only reason we are still shut down, the only reason we are facing these air traffic control and TSA and SNAP crises is because the Democrats tried to load this continuing resolution kind of debate with extra stuff, over $1 trillion of extra items. And that is not what they've debated on in the past. And if President Trump sticks with pushing the clean CR and the Republicans in the Senate hold, I think we'll get a few more Democrats, and maybe we can get halfway there with this SNAP and then get the government reopened.
Lee, to Bobby's point about, this being a clean CR, Democrats voting on it before, sort of breaking from precedent by adding policy into it. When it comes to messaging that right now, is the Democrats' message penetrating? Is it resonating? Is that why they're still holding out? They think that this is going to be the right move forward?
Yes, it is. Let's be very clear. That extra stuff is healthcare. That extra stuff is ACA. That extra stuff is healthcare that people like myself depend on to live. Let's remember, I've got a whole host of meds I got to take 3 times a day so my liver doesn't reject and I get to stay on this planet. And the Democrats are holding out because I had, the open exchange came open November 1st. I haven't even dared look at what my health care is going to cost next year. And I got to pay it. There's no, I can go without health care. I need those meds. People like me need those meds. They need that health care coverage. And I haven't even dared look at what my monthlies are going to be next year without the continuing support of the ACA. That's what the Democrats are holding out for. That's what the Democrats are fighting for. And that's why you see time after time after time, most of the blame goes to the Trump. Most of the blame goes to the Republicans because healthcare is third rail politics. Democrats and Republicans know that. You can go ask Hillary Clinton. That's what helped kill the Republicans back in 1994. You don't touch you don't touch people's health care. And that's what the Democrats are fighting for. That's what they're holding out for. And I think especially after tomorrow's election results, if they go the way I think they're going to go, I think it's going to bring the Republicans to the table. We'll actually get some movement on the ACA subsidies, on ensuring that health care is affordable for people like myself, other people out there who aren't doing as good as I am. And hopefully we come to a conclusion on this ongoing government shutdown.
Bobby, Republicans often get accused of, trying to throw Granny off the cliff, but Lee does have a point there. ACA subsidies, they're going to go up for a lot of people. So what is the solution? Do Republicans have a plan?
Well, first of all, let's keep in mind that we're talking about the government shutdown, and I'll just say I hope Lee's around for a very long time and gets what he needs.
Thank you, Bob.
Here's the deal, is that those subsidies don't run out till the end of the year, and we're talking about major issues, again, with SNAP and air traffic control, TSA, that could be alleviated tomorrow. Just go out and vote tomorrow on a clean CR, and we still have time to negotiate. No one's talking about getting rid of these subsidies tomorrow. They expire at the end of 2025. So there's time to get both sides to the table and negotiate a real solution for something that was designed to be temporary. These were designed to run out in 2025. They were COVID era, COVID subsidies to help the American people. Now COVID is long gone. This is supposed to expire, but we have to be able to separate logically the fact that those still can be debated and we can get the government reopened.
On a separate issue, but still related to funding, President Trump says that he would be reluctant to send any federal funds to New York City. That is, if Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani were elected mayor. Let's play a clip.
It's going to be hard for me as the president to give a lot of money to New York because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. So
Trump also posting online that New Yorkers have no choice but to vote for Andrew Cuomo because the Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa doesn't have the votes to win, but that Mamdani leading in the polls right now, there's really no hope other than if Sliwa's votes were to be tossed over to Cuomo, perhaps. So I want to talk about what this threat to New York's funding might mean. Lee, do you see the relationship between Trump and New York City playing out, or how do you see it playing out if Mamdani wins?
Well, there's two ways to look at this. The first part is the fact that it's kind of pretty blatantly unconstitutional. You don't get to pick where money goes, depends on whether you like the initial of the party after that person's name. That's not the way. It's not the way it works. That's not how you get to pick winners and losers. So on a legal sense, New York City will take the administration to court. New York City will more than likely win. But then there's the political sense. And we got to remember, here's a president who on Inauguration Day said he is going to be a president for everyone in America. He wants everyone in America to succeed. And what happens immediately after that? He starts saying, I'm not going to help Democrat states. I am not going to help Democrat cities. And that's great for the base. His base loves that red meat. They will eat it up all day long. But in 2026, control of Congress is going to depend on a few congressional districts. And a lot of time, you're more independent, moderate. They can go either way voters. Some voters who voted for Trump in 2024 because what was happening wasn't working for them, they're going to be like, this isn't what I voted for. I didn't vote for a guy who picks sides based on whether they're Republican or Democrat or whether they like the person or they didn't. It puts that doubt in their mind, and it further cements Trump's kind of image of being angry and vindictive, and it makes them less likely to vote for the Republican. It makes it more likely that Democrats kind of catch a wave in 2026 and take back control of at least the House of Representatives.
Bobby, would it be angry and vindictive of Trump, or just a disagreement in how federal funds are being spent in, say, a socialist, or as the president put it, communist type ways? And does he have that executive authority to decide?
Well, yeah, I'm going to partly agree with Lee on his first part, which is I don't think that you can really muscle political or federal funding because of the person that gets elected or not elected. A lot of the times the muscle that comes from the federal government is, hey, implement this program. It's, quote, up to you, your free choice. But if you don't get the money. That's a little bit different than a certain person getting elected. I think this is more on the political side. I think we're in this home stretch. We got the election, right away. And it's like, is this the final thing that we can do to get someone over the finish line? I mean, Mamdani has never polled over 50%. I think he's in the mid 40s now. Cuomo's been closing the gap. I believe they have ranked choice voting. I don't see Mamdani as anyone's second choice. So if those Sliwa votes can fall into Cuomo and they go a couple rounds, maybe he pulls it off. But I think this is an effort from President Trump to get those few undecideds or the group of undecideds over and say, hey, look, if you want economic Armageddon, vote for Mamdani, which I can argue that case without Trump. But I think that's what his move is.
And Lee, just to kind of, unpack a little bit further some of what you were saying before, you did say that, Trump is doing this because Mamdani is a Democrat, but clearly it's not because he's a Democrat, because he's telling people to go vote for the Democrat, essentially, Andrew Cuomo. He's threatening to take away the funding because he's a socialist.
You're correct. And maybe I worded it wrong. He's starting to take away the funding because he doesn't like the kind of Democrat, I guess you can say, the kind of Democrat, aka, as Trump said, a communist. And let's be very clear, Mamdani, not my flavor of Democrat. But the other thing I would take into account as a watcher of many New York sports teams is that New Yorkers, when threatened with something, have a tendency to give you the middle finger. And so, really, you got to wonder how many New Yorkers are going to see this threat and say, basically give the political middle finger to the Trump administration and go vote for Mamdani. I think that's a fear that needs to be taken into account.
Bobby, from all the things you've been seeing, reading the tea leaves, is there any path outside of a Mamdani win for mayor in New York?
No, I think there is. I think, again, this is kind of a pseudo runoff when you have the ranked choice voting. I'm not a fan of that. But I think Mamdani has his support. It's never gotten over 50%. And so maybe there's a way that Cuomo, as the others are cycled out, can take it. But, the policies that we face with this full-on socialist, I mean, basic economics show you that it's going to be a disaster. And I hope something can turn, but it really shows the state of the electorate right now, especially with those younger voters rallying for him, that we need to get our message out and show that America First policies, lower taxes, secure border, economic growth is the way to go.
Lee Neves, Bobby Eberle, really appreciate both of you coming on. Thank you.